Yes, we still like to play with toys, no matter what size. Hi, welcome to Tales from the Big Pig. When my wife and I got the ambulance home, we decided that the very first thing we were going to work on was the most expensive thing, and that would be the electrical. That was specifically so that we wouldn't abandon the project partway through, because we had too much invested in it. This meant ordering all the electrical parts and components, and the solar panels to be installed. Now, I know this wasn't the order that we should have done it in. We probably should have done the demolition first, but we weren't sure that we could do this because we've never done it before. We ordered 4 100 amp 12 volt batteries, 6 solar panels, an inverter, and a solar controller, and all the wires and fuses that are interconnected with it. The reason why we wanted to put solar panels and batteries in on the RV was because we wanted to be able to boondock in it. A lot of the RV parks, luxury and so forth, don't recognize an ambulance conversion as being a real live RV, whereas BLM land, or Bureau of Land Management, they would accept it, and we would not have any electrical hookups. So that was the reasoning for that. And if we ever did any mooch camping, we didn't want to use our friends' electricity when we did it. Now, I have seen on YouTube some other RVers that put solar panels on their roof, lost them going down the highway because they weren't mounted properly. I was going to make sure that this didn't happen to ours because it's very expensive. So we ended up getting 10-foot sticks of Unistrut and putting that all across the top. 3 of the bars going across it, and the panels would mount directly to those. The mounts for the solar panels are not particularly strong, being that they're made out of aluminum. Oh, by the way, I had to order those separately, and there are 4 on each panel. That's a grand total of 24 mounts. Bolting those directly to the roof is a no-go because that is 24 penetrations of the roof. However, by putting Unistrut across the top, this is Unistrut, in 3 successive rows allowed us to mount those directly to the solar panels and would minimize the number of penetrations through the roof. This is where Dicor came in, and we use a lot of this. This is a self-leveling sealant that we put on the roof to seal all the holes after we put the bolts. The mounts are made out of aluminum and they're not very strong. So by putting them on the Unistrut, we were able to mount them. And now they are removable as well, because we can just unbolt it from the Unistrut, take the panel off, and replace it if we need to. So what we did was we cut a board the size of the opening that we had in here to go against the back, and put all the components on the board at one time, then pre-wired the components, stuck the board in here, and then screwed it to the back wall. Now there's a gap between the bins in the inside wall, so it doesn't look like a porcupine on the inside. There's actually screws inside the wall. This all worked pretty well, except I made a major mistake. The inverter that I ordered was supposed to be a 12 volt. I ordered the 24 volt instead. My original plan was going to be 4 100 amp 12 volt batteries in parallel. That changed. Once the inverter arrived and I had ordered the wrong one, we changed it to 2 sets of 12 volt batteries in series. The diagram will show you more the way that went together. Anyway, once all that was done, this was the original location. This is where we originally wanted the batteries to go inside of here. I later on decided that I wanted to use this for our water storage. I ended up putting the batteries down here in the bottom of the electrical cabinet. The last time I came out here, I had a problem with the electrical though. I turned on the switches, and lo and behold, there was nothing. It was like, did I leave something on? Because it was like about 2 weeks. When I got here, there was 0 power. Well, you know that draining these things all the way down to the bottom is not a good thing. So I took all of them loose, put them in the back of the car, and took them home to test them. 13.35, 13.33, 13.34. It was the connection. The batteries are fine. After everything was said and done, everything was fine with them. They were all right. There was just some corrosion that had built up on it, and that's because this is kind of an exposed cabinet. What I've done at that point is I've taken the cables and run them into the cabinet and got the batteries inside. This is the new location for the batteries. They're inside where it's nice and warm in the wintertime and not so hot when it's in the summertime. That makes a lot more room in here for other devices that I wouldn't mind being around electrical equipment. I have repurposed all of the switches that were originally in here to use them for lights, water pump, and other sundry items. As you can see, I've got the solar panel monitor over here that I've already mounted to the outside. That used to be the control for the air conditioner, which is no longer needed. We're getting a split unit. We're putting that in later this year.
All right. Well, cool.
What I need to do is get a little angle times 8 and bolt them straight to this, and then do all the connections for the wires on the top end of that, so that we're not having to pussyfoot around stripping out these. The batteries we had ordered had a bad design on them. They were slightly inset, and the bolts that went into it were too fine of a thread to hold anything really securely. And if we stacked anything above 2 items, 2 lugs or something like that, it was not long enough to reach the threads anymore. So it kept stripping out and allowing corrosion to go in there because I couldn't make it tight enough. We ended up fashioning these angle connectors so that we could make all the connections above the battery and make one tightening of the bolts below. Our next step will be to remove all the temporary wiring I did with speaker wire and replace it with 16 gauge rubber coated with clips to hold it down in a nice, neat, orderly fashion. Thank you for stopping by. If you got any value from it, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you later.